Okay, let's let's move on to our second story of the day. So, romantic comedies are one of those things that is very everybody loves a good rom com, right? I mean, I'm a sucker for a good rom com, whether it's While You Were Sleeping or You've Got Mail or When Harry Met Sally or whatever it is, right? So, in budgets, and these aren't usually big budgets, 30, 40, $50 million maybe, you know, um, and they have a good time with them. So, this is going to be interesting. Um, so Netflix, okay, is now going to, um, they're going to um, actually make a romantic comedy, okay, and the budget for this is going to be about $130 million. So this is comes from the Hollywood Reporter, and Michael Fassbender and Owen Wilson are going to be doing this as well, along with Scarlett Johansson and Penelope Cruz. So Nancy Meyers, who's made some really good movies in the past, is going to be getting back in the director's chair. Nancy Meyers is returning to the director's chair, and this will be the first time since she's made a movie since 2015's The Intern. The filmmaker is known for her upscale romantic comedies and is back with a project that is attracting A-list talent. Scarlett Johansson is leading this lead role in Meyers' upcoming film for Netflix. Multiple sources have told the THR is with Penelope Cruz, Owen Wilson, and Michael Fassbender, and they're eyeing the project as well. Netflix had no comment. Meyers will write, direct, and produce the comedy, which is known as Paris Paramount, although it is not clear if this is an actual title or a working title or a code name. Sources say this story centers around a talented young actor director who falls in love with a producer, with the pair making several successful films before calling it quits romantically and professionally. The two are forced back together, however, when a great new project arises, and they find themselves teamed up again and having to deal with high stakes and volatile stars. There are several parallels with Meyers' own life here. She had had a long time romantic and professional relationship with Charles Shire, a fellow writer, director, producer. After they made they made it working in Hollywood together. The pair did and had such movies as Private Benjamin, Father of the Bride, uh, Baby Boom, The Parent Trap, and many more. After Myers and Shire split, Myers went on to write and direct movies such as Something You Give and The Holiday. The project is currently eyeing 130 million to 150 million dollar range, meaning this could be the most expensive romantic comedy to come out of Hollywood ever. With the studio and filmmakers going back and forth over costs, as first reported. It has been in the works for some time, with the studio first announcing the feature in April of last year. A previous incarnation circling late last year had Jennifer Lawrence eyeing the lead before the Oscar winner fell out for unspecific reasons. Romantic comedies have long been the realm of the mid budget, but Myers has commanded prices on the higher end for her genre. Her productions have earned a lofty price in the rom-com annals, with architectural digest worthy production design and call sheets featuring massive stars such as Jack Nicholson and Meryl Streep. Myers last directed the 2015 comedy The Intern, which and tells about that, and that, as I said, Scarlett Johansson is going to be the lead. Okay, couple things. Number one, um, that's huge. Let's call it what it is. That is the biggest budget for a romantic comedy of all time. 150 to 100, 130 to 150 million dollars. Um, Now look, she's established. Um, Nothing else to say about it, right? You have A-list stars here. You know, Scarlett Johansson, Fassbender, Owen Wilson, Penelope Cruz. you're basing it off your own life, okay, which is good because you basically know the story. I don't know if it's going to be lucrative. Okay. The thing is that this is a movie that it's one of those things where, and yes, it's on streaming, but if Netflix is going to be spending 130 to 150 million dollars on this movie, as reports say, how much of a profit or an ROI do they expect? Um, unless, and here's the one caveat, okay, they could hypothetically put this in theaters. Now, look, with that kind of budget, absolutely, and they would be well served to put it into theaters. Um, I don't know though if you know. Look, some of these movies. Look, Creed just cost 70 million. This last Creed movie, the first story we were doing today, okay, just cost $70 million to make. Okay. Now, as I read in that article, it gave you the other budgets. Okay, this would be twice that amount almost for a romantic comedy. Now, I'm not saying people won't turn out because they will, but right now, this budget has to get slashed down by at least half to at least make a profit because this goes into the whole business side of it. If Netflix is willing to spend or partially spend, let's say it's $100 million. Let's say they talk her down to $100 million. How much money do they think, unless they put this in theaters for a theatrical release, how much are they really going to make from this? I like the idea. Don't get me wrong. Romantic comedies are few and far between now because it's all about action and superhero and drama and everything else. But how much are you really going to make? And is it worth the time? And I'll be honest with you, I think that's why it's being made by Netflix because I'm sure she shopped this to studios and they all said we can't do it. It's too big of a budget. So it will be interesting. The story is there because it's personal. It's based off her own personal life. So she knows better than anybody what she went through and everything else. I don't know though if you're going to get that kind of viewership. And if you do, what is your end game if you're Netflix, right? Because look, we've had movies on Netflix, okay? Like The Irishman, for example. Irishman was a $150 million budget or right around there, okay? Glass Onion was like 60, so 70. Think about that for a minute. Ryan Johnson is he made a movie for $70 million off of so I don't know. I like the premise. I'll say it again. I like the premise, but I don't know if it's going to be lucrative for Netflix unless they put this in theaters. Even if they do, how long are they going to put it in theaters for? I mean, we've seen it before. You know, um, all you got to do is take a look at The Irishman that was out a couple years ago, and then Glass Onion. Glass Onion was in theaters 1 week and it made $16 million. Now, that being said, if they put this in theaters, they might get their money back. Might, or close to it. And that's, you know, you got overseas too, but you're really looking at domestic. It's a huge, huge budget. Um, I like I said, I like the idea of a romantic comedy. I like the idea that she's gonna, base this partially off her own life. I don't know though how much money this is gonna make if this just stays on streaming. And can Netflix sustain this? So there's a lot of questions swirling around this as far as the business side of it, not the picture. Because look, everybody, I like Michael Fassbender. I mean, I have my thoughts on him. Okay, Michael Fassbender is a phenomenal actor. Okay, but you look at everything since 2015, and it's plummeted. There's no doubt. That loss that night, and look, I'm not blaming him, but that loss that night to Leonardo DiCaprio almost tanked his career. It almost, I mean, and look, everybody knew going in Leo was going to win the Oscar, only because he had been nominated so many times, and it was okay. I love Steve Jobs. I love Steve Jobs. I think he did a phenomenal. I mean, that's why he got nominated, right? Any other year, he would have won the Oscar. But you got to take a look at the projects he did after. Usually, when you have an actor that gets an Oscar nomination, okay, his star goes up. He gets better projects, better pay, everything else. Because of that loss, you take a look at the films that he did after Assassin's Creed, Dark Phoenix, X-Men Dark Phoenix, and The Snowman. All of them were subpar at best. I'll be gentle, subpar. Anyways, this looks like a fun cast, though. It really does. I think that, you know, um, it looks like a fun cast. I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm kind of curious to see if the budget comes down. But like I said, this is in a very, very early stages. I'm sure we're going to hear much, much more about this as the days and weeks go on. So, what do you guys think about this? What do you think about, the whole mixture of, all those 5 stars together? Do you think Netflix would put this in theaters to try and make some of their money back? Would you see a romantic comedy with those stars in it? Or would you kind of wait to see what happens? Leave me your thoughts down in the comment section and I'll get back to you.